Welcome back, my friends, for another fun reloading video. Today we are prepping some 223 brass here. This is all Lake City head stamp. We have already been full length sized. Now we are trimming, chamfering, and deburring, and then finally going over the little brush there at the end. And we have also reamed out our primer pockets with our little deburring head there. So today we're just going to run through these 50 cases over here. I just have them in this block to count them easier. Over here we have about 600 more to go, and I've already done roughly 700. And as you saw in the earlier video, I was just sizing all those other ones. So we have about 12 or 1300 total. I'm roughly halfway done. We're going to do a couple today. Real quick, these are all the ones I've done so far, and they have been tumbled in corncob media, no polish or anything else. So we're going to end up turning these cases, somewhat tarnished, covered in lube and shavings and all that, into these cases where they are somewhat polished and they look a lot better than these. So I like to keep tabs by 100 each. So as you can see, 700, that is these, or those are these. Grammar, it's hard stuff. And I have 50 here, so we're doing the next 50 today. And so we'll add our next tally once we get done with those. And we're just slowly working on this pile as we do some other projects here on the channel. So stay tuned, let's get at it. So here we are with our Lyman Case Prep Express. We have 5 stations up top, and I don't have a use for a 5th station. I've already reamed out our primer pockets, and we use the same tool that we do to chamfer the inside of our neck. So I only use 4 pieces here, and I could actually do away with this little brush and only need 3. And that's what I was doing over with my Frankfurt Arsenal Case Prep Center. Yeah, that's this guy, the old Frankfurt Arsenal Case Prep Center. This is the one without the trimming unit. So we have the 4 stations on top, and that's all you get. But again, I'm only using 3, so even the 5 stations here are sort of overkill at this current time. But that's not to say that you can't find a use for all 5 stations. I'm just saying for this current operation today, I'm struggling to find a use for all 4. But we're going to trim here with the Lee case length gauge and shell holder. We're going to chamfer, deburr, and then hit the brush just to get any of these shavings out. And then we throw them over here in the done pile. We could also add in the primer pocket flash hole deburring tool. Some find uses for it. I've never used one, actually, so I can't comment, but I'm just figuring out ways we could fill these up to where you could just easily knock out all those stations and make your brass prep a little bit faster than you have been. Anyways, I'm rambling. I have 50 cases today, and we are going to trim, chamfer, and deburr them, and then we will be done. And what we see here is the shavings from roughly 700 cases that we've already done. And some of this mess over here, of course, is from the primer pockets. So here we are. We have our machine running, as you can see. However, it is very quiet. That is one of my favorite things about this machine. Anyways, we have our shell holder here. We have our sized and reamed out primer pocket. We're going to go ahead and trim that and then just touch up the neck. And wow, you can see how long some of these cases really are. Some of those shavings coming off. But these 2 steps, we're barely hitting those. And once we clean it up, you can see beautiful and perfectly trimmed. And by perfectly trimmed, I mean within specs. And we are currently at 1.745. And that's probably right around the minimum. Anyways, we take our finished case and throw it into the next little bucket there, and we move on with our next one here. And we have to do this not only the 50 times, but at least 600 more, based on what's in that bucket over yonder way. So it's not the fastest way ever. Of course, there's a Gerard and Dylan and all the other super fast methods, but it is very repeatable, and I'm getting pretty good results here, as we can see. That one barely needed any trimming there, so we just barely touch up the mouth and the neck. Mouth, neck, same exact thing. And you can see I'm using two hands. That's because I'm holding on to the case and the little lock stud gauge there. Which keeps it from spinning and slipping around, because holding this that tight gets a little rough after a few cases. Well, that one just barely touched it. So we're just going to barely touch up that mouth there. That case is perfect. Some people have modified their little case gauge, or rather the shell holder end, into a golf ball or a little brick of wood or some kind of a handle. I haven't got that far yet, but we'll get there. But for now, this is doing just fine. The two-handed approach. It only takes a second here and here to get your necks cleaned up after you trim. You're not trying to reshape it or anything like that. Maybe just kind of bevel it so it's easier to sit your bullet into. But we're not trying to take any material off with those two steps. We're just barely kind of honing out the shape there to better accept your bullets, maybe. Meh. So yeah, we slip it in, give it a twist, lock it down, and that one's barely touching again. Very nice. And you can see you just have to barely wipe that off, and that's just some more lubricant and things, some of the shavings. And then we've exposed our beautiful clean neck. That's why we're going to tumble these afterwards to give them a nice cleaning, and then they will be 100% ready for loading. Very easy, very smooth process here. And the only one thing I would change is if you could just speed that up, the trimming process, because, you know, we lock it down and we start to trim. If it's one of those long cases, it's going to take you a good 30 seconds to trim that case. And you see this one's fighting me. Once we got it locked in pretty well and I'm holding on to it, we're taking off several shavings here, as you've seen come off. But then you barely touch it here, we barely touch it here, and we hit our neck. It looks pretty gross and dirty. Kind of wipe that off. And now, look at that beautifully processed, ready to go case. So I've got, you know, 35, 38 of them to go here. So hang out, sit back, relax. Let's get to work on some case prepping. That one didn't touch at all. I bet it's an LC223. Yep. Says LC223 Remington there. Those are always short, I've noticed. Anyways. So we are down to 5 cases left to prep for tonight. Everything's going smooth so far. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. I say weekend, but by the time I end up editing it and all that fun stuff, it's probably not going to be the weekend anymore, but we'll check out some of these and just kind of measure some at random here once we get them all done and make sure that we're all consistent. Let's see what kind of range our case is getting us, or rather our length gauge is getting us within. So we've just got 3 more, and as you can see, this is a pretty simple process. I was using the other gloves, or rather doubling up on the gloves earlier. That helps with longer sessions. It gives you a better grip, more padding, all that stuff. Because if anyone tells you brass prep is easy or fun, they're just lying to you. Unless you're, you know, fully automated on a 1050 or 1100 or whatever the heck they're running these days, you know, brass prep is not the best. But this is the fastest way I've been able to figure out how to do it. I hope some of you guys can take something away from this, or you enjoy watching. That was all 50 of those. So that's enough for today. And that was another 100 there, so we'll add another tally to our final count. We are at 800. Yeah, buddy. Anyways, we're going to just kind of measure some of these at random. And I think the number I saw earlier was 1.745, which is just about what this one's telling me, 1.747. The minimum trim length for 223 or 556 is 1.755, so we're just underneath that, which means we're going to get another, maybe an extra firing or 2 before we're going to need trimmed again. So overall, not a horrible thing. As long as we're consistent, we're going to have pretty consistent neck tension because they're all the same length. If you know what I'm saying. And if you would kneel, you'll be even more consistent. So yeah, these are all just at 1.745, which is right under the minimum of 1.750. So I think we are good to go here. Nothing to worry about. Excellent. Which is good because, you know, that's 800 down. I'm not going to worry about 5 thousandths because they're all the same, right? And we can always play with our seating depth to gain or take away that 5,000th if we were worried about our cantilever aligning there, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. We were just doing some brass prep. You know, we've been working on all of this 9mm ammo here, so I was just taking a break to catch up on some of this brass that we were working on way before that even. So here we are, 800 out of approximately 1,300 cases in. Anyways, if you enjoy this sort of content, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel here, and you can go and support us over on patreon.com/dummyround. Anyways, thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for more. We will see you in the next video. Have a good one.